weekend ever, and somebody says, hey, how was your weekend? You're like, good. How was yours? Right? We're just really good at not saying something that isn't quite true, just because we don't want to talk about it or whatever, but we're really good at lying about it because we've had a lot of practice, right? There's this minister, some of us know him. His name's Paul Washer. He's a well-known minister, and if you listen to his testimony, he talks about how he was a chronic liar before he was saved. He lied about everything. I mean, just lied about anything and everything. And he was really good at it. In fact, he was telling a lie to somebody, and he had a person with him who was his friend who knew he was lying. And he's telling this lie, and afterwards they left, and the friend said, man, I knew you were lying, and I almost believed you. That's how good of a liar he was. And he just lied to lie, right? And for some people, lying becomes a way of life. And that's the goal of Satan, is to become lying a way of life. You get through life by just lying your way through it. And it's funny, and if you look at how this world is unfolding, you see things, anyone notice how like things that were regarded as true for thousands of years are now being questioned and called false, right? Things like men can become women and women can become men. I mean, what a big lie that is. And now suddenly that's considered truth, right? Like, how horrible is that, Even they're saying things like men can have babies now. You're like, what? What are you talking about? That's an utter lie, but people are actually believing this lie, 20 years ago, if a doctor would have said a man can have a baby, they would throw him out of the practice. Now they have entire doctors' associations where people are signing up and saying, yes, it's true, and we stand behind this statement. Hundreds and thousands of doctors. You're like, what a lie. What an absolute lie. And you're thinking, there's a warning in the Bible that says not to do that. And if you look at it in Isaiah chapter 5, it says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. They're saying things completely flipped around, and they're calling this one good and that one bad. Right? They're saying this is a lie and this is truth. And they've completely flipped it. And the prophet Isaiah says, woe unto those. And when you think about that word woe, it's a curse is what it is. We often hear that word woe. You hear, woe is me. That's something we don't use now. But when a prophet in the Old Testament was using that word woe, it means that he was pronouncing a curse if you did that thing on the person. And that's terrible. Usually when prophets would come in the Old Testament, there was usually two things they would come with, a blessing or a curse. Right? And you see it in the Scripture. Psalm 1, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputeth not iniquity, in whom spirit there is no guile. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him. Right? So we see these blessings that the Lord offers for righteousness, but there's also a curse on the other side, and that word he uses is woe. It says, woe unto you, woe unto you. Woe is used in the Bible 64 times as a warning, right? It's the strongest warning given in the Bible. It means a curse, right? And people don't take these curses seriously. And perverting the truth has very serious consequences, right? It's kind of funny in today's society, we make jokes about certain professions that people don't trust. When I say to you, used car salesman, what do you think? What comes to your mind, right? You might think of somebody, maybe he's a little slimy or a little weaselly. Maybe he's just not quite honest, He's trying to make a deal, trying to make a sale, and maybe he's fine with using these dishonest practices, so you got to be careful for them, right? However, in multiple surveys, it shows that two professions rank lower in terms of how much you trust these people than a used car salesman. And when I tell you what they are, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. One of them is a politician, and one of them is a lawyer. Yeah. And you probably heard the old joke, how do you tell if a lawyer is lying? His lips are moving, right? And we laugh, and we say, ha, ha, that's funny, that's real funny. And we laugh about it, but when you think about it, it's really